would you promote someone without asking? Or do you always want to get their permission, want them to initiate? What has been your philosophy with that?
I think it can go both ways. I can think of times where I have come to someone with a promotion when they haven't necessarily asked and been like, I think you're ready for this. Do you want this? But the majority of the time, I have 44 engineers under me. Like I can't necessarily keep track of every single person's progression at every single point. At the year-end reviews, it's a good time for me to reflect. But if you feel ready or you feel like you're going above and beyond in between, then don't wait for me to come to you at your year-end review, right? That's the best cadence for me because that's when I have the most to reflect on the past year. I'm doing planning for the next year. I'm trying to see where we want to grow our team and how we want to grow alongside the business. I think that if you wait for that's taking kind of a passive approach to your own career and your own life, it's better to be more active than not, right? In the same vein, it's better to ask too early than too late, from my opinion, because I see very little downside to asking too early, other than, like Lee said, getting feedback on where you can grow, as long as you can take feedback, right? And I think that's the big distinction. If you're going to ask for a promotion and you're told that it's too early, be willing to hear the feedback because you probably have blind spots that you're not seeing. Your promotion doesn't come out of my paycheck, right? It doesn't really affect me necessarily. If I feel like you're ready, it's in my best interest to fight for you as your manager. There's no reason why I would want to gatekeep that from you. If I'm a good manager, we've all had toxic people in our lives. So forget that those people exist for a second and just assume that everyone is well intentioned. If your manager says you're not ready, it's not because they're setting some sort of unreasonable precedent or they're wanting to be gatekeepy. Most likely it's because you have a blind spot that you're not seeing. And how you handle feedback is as much a part of whether I think you're ready for a promotion as anything else. Because to me, a staff engineer needs to be able to hear feedback from their leaders, hear feedback from their team, implement it maturely, and be self reflective. And if you take feedback and you get mad or you argue or you say, I'm actually ready because of X, Y, and Z, and you get combative, you're further proving the point that you're not necessarily ready. So I'd say asking early doesn't have many downsides unless you're not someone who can handle feedback and handle hearing the word no.
And I want to put a really fine point on what Carly just said about like your ability to take feedback and what you do with feedback being an indicator in and of itself. The first time my manager tried to promote me to L6 as a manager at Amazon, it didn't go through. And when he came to me, I was very tactical about it and was like, okay, cool. So what was missing? What were the biggest objections? How are we going to fix that? Going through each thing and being like, okay, what's the artifact for that? You're saying that I'm missing this. How are we going to show the next time that's not the problem? And a month later, I went on paternity leave. And then when I came back, I was promoted. I didn't really do anything different except ask how to fix it and come up with the ideas of what we're going to fill the gap. And that was essentially like what pushed it over. So that willingness to hear the feedback and take action on it was what got me promoted, not doing one more project or my team doing one more project. So just she's right.
Yeah.
What I'm
And
saying.
I want to just add one more thing here about this, though, because if you disagree with the feedback and you actually do think that like it's bullshit, interview and see what happens. And maybe another company will agree with you. And that's what's happened in my career. And that's because I've only ever been promoted one time in my career, and that was from junior to mid level. Every other promotion has come from a hop. Yeah, you don't have to freaking like if you have a manager who's trying to carrot and stick your ass like all the way up and all that stuff, freaking like maybe just leave. That's like another option that is also an equally viable option that can also work. But you also still need to learn how to take feedback. I'm not trying to be like, oh yeah, don't take any feedback, always just leave. I'm not
YOLO, I'm
like
out of
that
here.
far, right? But like sometimes like there are managers out there who do give you feedback that is absolutely ridiculous, that is like not true, and they actually don't know who you are. And so that's where interviewing outside, especially if you're getting feedback that you disagree with, that is a very good thing because then the market will tell you if you're ready as well. The market will tell you.
Carly, I 100% agree with you about you should ask too early. Like one thing that has become increasingly obvious to me throughout my career is that expression of the squeaky wheel gets the grease. If you want attention, you want money, you want anything, make some noise, right? If you want to talk about how great your work is, you want to talk about promotion, you have to advocate for yourself and you have to talk about it. I think the nuance here is the phrasing of it. How you frame yourself and what you want matters a ton. I think that's Lee, you were alluding to that a little bit. If you say, hey, I joined the company a week ago, I want to get promoted, you're not going to get very many advocates on your team, or your manager probably won't advocate for you. But if instead you frame it as, hey, I'm new, my number one goal right now is I want to ramp up, I want to have a ton of impact, I want to help the people on the team. But would you be okay in 3 months? Can we have a check-in about what promotion looks like, right? If I was a manager, I would 100% say, yeah, I'm totally aligned with you. Right now, focus on ramping up, landing some tasks, writing some code. And then in 3 months, I am more than happy to figure out how you're trending and what you can do to get promoted. That way you've communicated that you really care about promotion, but your priorities are straight. Like your priorities are correct, at least from the team perspective. So I feel like the way you advocate for yourself matters a lot.
Definitely. Yeah. And I would just add asking for promotions early, talking about it explicitly. I know some people feel a little uncomfortable about doing that, or maybe like it's asking for too much, but it's just definitely better. I've experienced it at every point before getting promoted. I was very explicit about, hey, I'm this level. What do I need to do to get to the next level? And it was not an uncomfortable conversation. And my manager was also happy about it too, because he wants me to grow, because then his team is having more impact. And in some cases too, when they would say, oh, you're probably going to get promoted to this level, I would ask even about the next level after that, because thinking, okay, this one's probably going to go through. What's the next thing I can do? How can I keep going and keep that momentum? So that's even more cringe if you don't like asking for promos, to ask for two in advance, but you totally can. My manager is not upset at all, and it worked really well.